Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. Following pundits pun. What a heck of a show we had, Jacob Christner. So I know we want to get to where we're headed here right away. Hello, Will Vogel. We're going to be talking a lot about the NBA. We're going to talk about the NHL, and time permitting, we'll get around to a little bit of baseball as well. So let me introduce the crew really quickly. JB Ellis, welcome back.
What's going on?
No sports sound of the week to make sure we accomplish what we need. Jeremy.
Howdy.
All right, Jacob Christner, long time no see.
Always proud to be working with 80s Howard Finkel.
All right, and George Eichhorn's gotten a workout this week.
Hi, good to see everyone again. Thanks.
Wow. Right, so here, hey, Brian Cushion, you're going to be coming on sooner than you think. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. All right, let's get to it. Topic number one, okay, the Florida Panthers versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Florida has a veteran coach in Paul Maurice, hot goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky, superstar Matt Tkachuk. They beat the President's Cup trophy winner Boston, dominated Toronto and Carolina, and I believe that they're on house money being the eighth seed. And according to George Richards of Florida Hockey Now, he said they wouldn't get as many wins, but they would make the playoffs. So George is definitely on target there. And Paul Maurice replaced Andrew Brunette, who replaced Joel Quenneville on an interim basis, and the Cats went 51-18-6. So the amazing part about it is with Mr. Brunette, he's been hired by the Nashville Predators as their new coach. All right, JB Ellis, there's a lot to unpack here, the Florida Panthers. So you want to make a prediction and give me some thoughts about this?
You're Stanley Cup champions. I mean, they're the hottest team in the NHL playoffs. There's nothing stopping them. You know, Vegas is a great team. They were put together well during a great expansion draft. They, got the team to play well. They reached the Stanley Cup playoff finals once before, but there's nothing stopping the Panthers this year. It's not happening. They are the hottest team, and in the NHL playoffs, when you have a hot team, it's hard to beat. I see this one ending at 5 or 6.
Do you really?
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy, what do you think?
I'm going to echo that sentiment. I say it's going to be over in 6 games or less. Florida's just playing way too well, and Tkachuk should be the MVP of the playoffs.
Hey, Jacob.
Well, I'm going to say this part. It doesn't. I don't want to. I'm going to say Florida, but sweep. I think they're too hot. I think they're hot. And the fact remains, it just comes up along with the fact of Dallas and Las Vegas, what I had said the last week about needing, you have that time change, that all that kind of stuff. You eventually wear out. Well, guess what? Las Vegas tore them up in their own place. It's like it's that travel. It's everything like that. I think you need to tear up. You need to tear it up and finish it up. And I think they're going to.
George.
Well, I predicted with Candy as the substitute host, as you guys know, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, whenever the playoffs started, that watch out for Florida. Paul Maurice is my man. He was coach of the Windsor Spitfires here across the river from Detroit. He was coach of the CompuWare team. He's a good man. He's got his roots here in Detroit and in Windsor, Ontario. He's a very good coach. He took Carolina to the finals one year, didn't win it, but I'm a big Paul Maurice fan. So, yeah, it's going to be Panthers. I'd say 6 games.
Yeah, I'll differ with you guys there. I actually think the Panthers are going to take it in 7. This is going to be a really grueling series. I really do. I mean, let's face it. You're talking about 2 teams here. You really are. That, to me, it's hard to imagine that the Golden Knights are in their 5th year, and the Panthers are being there for the first time since 1996. So the way I have it is they have the formula to really go out there and win it all, but I'm not selling the Golden Knights short at all. But here's the deal. When you think of the Panthers' road to get there, okay, they will have beaten the Boston Bruins, heavily favored to beat them as a President's Cup. They blew out Toronto, the 2 teams ahead of them in the division. The Carolina Hurricanes, they made them look bad. So now they're going to face every tough team, and the road to 16 is going to be through Vegas. So, all right. Well, let me introduce a new guy in the chat room. I met him at the Coral Springs Chamber of Commerce, and and there's a strong possibility I'm going to go out there and bring him on a future Sports Exchange. Matt Jacobs, thanks for joining us. And yes, the Panthers have come together at the right time. So,
well, one big thing real fast is this is showing Las Vegas and Florida is the Stanley Cup. Las Vegas and Florida. You know what this is showing? That Toronto and Montreal and the Big Six have got to get out of the tradition. It can't be talked about anymore. They got to find a new world in their own heads. It's like, even if you have to change the logos, if you have to do whatever, you got to get out of that tradition. You got to quit talking about Guy Lafleur. You got to quit talking about all of those in the history. You got to quit talking about 1967. You got to get out. Same with the Bears in '85. You got to get out of tradition because these teams have already caught you and destroyed you.
All right. Well, you're welcome, Matt. And I want to thank everybody that's being a part of the chat room. Ken Ballreich, well, always love seeing you in here. And Brian Cushion, well, I've been thinking about you all night. There's a strong possibility you're going to appear on the Wednesday night edition of the Sports Exchange with us. I think going forward, what we're going to be doing with this platform is on the Wednesday night Sports Exchange, everybody that we've talked to, reach out, they're coming on. They might as well hang in there with all of us. So we've got a big list coming up. All right, next topic. With the Miami Heat advancing, Pat Riley has been a part of 25% of the NBA Finals in league history. 3 as a player, 10 as a coach, and 6 as an administrator. That, to me, is just unbelievable. So, all right, JB, go at it again.
Listen, Pat Riley is one of the best minds in the game. The man knows how to win. You know, they don't always have the most talent in Miami. Spoelstra is a great coach. He was groomed under Riley. He was the video guy. He worked his way up through the ranks. You know, it's a phenomenal organization with what they've done. It's the way that teams should be run, you know, and you have to love his leadership and what he does. I mean, the man just knows how to win, and he has the right mindset.
All right, Jeremy.
Pat Riley, I mean, what can you say? He's had a tremendous career. He's been doing great there as the general manager, president of operations, whatever he's called there with the Miami Heat. I mean, he put the big team together that got him a championship with Chris Bosh and Wayne Wade that they drafted, and LeBron James. There was a couple other key pieces. Adonis Haslam was another one.
Jacob.
Thing about Pat Riley, you know what he brings to every place that he goes? And I'm just going to say it's true, and it brings people, whether they're the greatest talent or not. The element of cool. He is he's pretty much one of the coolest in the league. He brings that. I mean, he's brought it when he got gray. He's got that gray hair with the tan, with all that. Miami it's like you live on the beach. He just looks like it's cool. It's like, this is the thing about Phil Jackson when they were doing all that with him, and he was in Montana. Much as we love to be Montana, to be alone, that just is. It's solitude. Miami is around where the action is. You know what I'm saying? And he brings where the action is, and you can bring the best around you. And he's got a cool coach, and he's got cool players, and he's got everything. And it brings that element out there. And that's why Pat Riley can. And remember, he's done LA, New York, and Miami. So the 3 biggest areas. So that right there has gotten his name up right away.
Okay, well, before I turn over to George Eichhorn, I'm reading Matt Jacobs. It's tough to get the Magic together. South Florida teams are winning finally. Well, you'd say that. Matt, let's elaborate on that. Let's not forget the University of Miami Hurricanes and the Florida Atlantic Owls getting to the Final Four. So we'll continue on the Matt Jacobs role. In fact, before I hang in there, George, we'll get to you. But you know what? The Godfather. Okay, I guess that's a pretty good way of summarizing. Good stuff, Matt. I knew I saw you tonight over at the restaurant. You were going to be good, and you're certainly making me look like a genius. All right, let's continue on. Okay, Matt Vogel. That's outstanding. He's been a part of that many. Shows how far he's above the competition. That's a no-brainer. Pat Riley is a genius. All right, Brian Cushion. We're going to have a no big deal on. Haven't watched much hockey or basketball, so I really can't talk on those subjects. No, Brian, the plan is get you on football. We got to get you oriented with this platform. Don't worry, we don't make anybody look stupid on this platform. We'll bring out football. There's a method to my madness. You'll find out in due time. And back to the Matt Jacobs, definitely. Look at this guy. I'll tell you what, he types faster than I talk. Then again, that's tough to do. All right, George, continue on with the Pat Riley.
Well, I know Pat Riley is a Hall of Famer, no question about it. From his talent is immense, the judging and scouting and coaching these guys, and of course, being in the front office. His slick hairdo and all that kind of reminds me of the way Chuck Daly of the Pistons, the late Chuck Daly, used to dress. They called him, oh man, Daddy Bucks or Daddy Warbucks or something. I think the Piston players called him.
Yeah.
Because Chuck was always so well dressed, as you remember, Scott. But yeah, Riley's in a class by himself. A lot of guys get burned out. They don't stick around that long. They don't, even their front office sometimes is short. Guys that have been head coaches in that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Popovich, because I'd be curious to know how long he's going to stick around. But we're not talking about him today. Pat Riley, you are the man. I agree.
George, let me say this. You know why
Yeah.
Pat Riley doesn't burn out? I said it, Miami. He's got he's on a beach, beautiful women to look at all the time to settle down, to settle his brain and his mind down.
That's
and
true.
bring one part up, which that's fine. And it's like, but I'm saying that, which is what makes a man. But see, the biggest thing about it is it allows him to relax. When you're in the office 18 hours a day, like a lot of these coaches are, you do burn out because you don't relax. You do have to relax. You have to relax. You have to find that. And there is a reasoning behind it. Being in Miami, being on a beach, be able to have some nice views to watch. That's just what it is. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get real here. Okay. Now we have some internal stuff going on that I need to bring out here. Aren't we having a blast? And I'll tell you the reason why Pat Riley's doing so well is he has Mickey Arizin as the owner, who gives him carte blanche to do anything that he wants to do, for crying out loud. Give me a break. Yeah, I'll try.
I love Denzel Snipes' comment here. JB
Yeah.
looks like his
That's
pizza is
JB's
late and he's
normal
ticked
look.
about it.
That's JB's normal look.
Yeah, well, so Pat Riley has free reign with Mickey Arizin, and they have such a great culture there. And obviously, you have a great between Eric Spoelstra and Mickey Arizin. There's no way you'd leave. Yeah, all right, we can talk about beach stuff all we want, but let's get real. He couldn't have had a better situation where he's shopping for the groceries, and he actually has, a great coach to make sure that he's cooking the groceries well. All right, I'm having a ball in the chat room, and I'm not gonna stop. So there we go. Wherever we go. All right, everybody laughing at you, JB. So we can all be laughed at. All right, let's keep going. All right, same with Brown and Pistons. All right, let's see. Some other good stuff. I agree. It's easier to unwind in Miami than in Vermont. The only thing I'll say about Vermont is when I go to my injury train here in Magic Mountain in Londonderry, Vermont, I ended up relaxing on a stretcher when I tore my ankle up on Christmas Day, the same day Billy Martin died. And let me tell you, that's unreal. All right, Matthew Jacobs, here's another one for you. Isn't it great to see Boston teams getting crushed? Dolphins taking 2 against the Patriots. We'll have Bostonians in sports therapy. You know what, Matthew? I've got a great thing, a segue to Boston, so bear with me on this one because
It's
you
coming
just
up.
have to do it. That's all. All right, so with that said, Pat Riley is. There you go. Let's have some laughter here. All right, I know Jeremy is handling our sound effects. Good stuff. All right. Hang in there, Matt. You're on a roll. Then again, I didn't expect anything less for you on your first act until he comes next Wednesday night. All right. Let's talk about a little bit of love. We're going to talk about Kevin Love. Never lost a playoff series in the Eastern Conference. 4 with the Cavaliers, 1 with Miami. 2014-15 Eastern Conference champion. 2015-16 NBA champion. 2016-17 Eastern Conference champion. 2017-18 Eastern Conference champion. And, of course, it doesn't hurt that he's with Miami 22-23 Eastern Conference champion. And we'll say in 2015-16, he's an NBA champion. I guess he's got the East down pat, right, JB?
Listen, just luck being on good teams. He was a really good player at one point. He's not the same guy now, but, sometimes that just happens. How many years in a row did J.J. Redick make the playoffs before it finally got stopped? Some guys just have luck and circumstances. Doesn't mean much.
All right, thanks, Jen. Your kindness, and we had a great show with Jennifer Cobb last week. Just to give everybody, before I go on to the next topic, go around the horn here. Jennifer and I had a great show last Thursday where we talked about Parkinson's disease and all the great causes that she's out there talking about. So you talk about one of my favorite shows of all time, Jennifer Lee Cobb. Follow her, go out there and send her a friend request or follow her on Facebook, because I'll tell you what, we're working on some other projects that'll be announced at some point down the line. But that was one of my favorite shows. All my shows are fun, but this one had a Parkinson's reason to it. So why on earth would I not want to feel with something that's a silent killer? And Jennifer, great job. Okay, now let's go back to the chat room. Okay, before I go on to Jeremy with, well, in fact, you know what I'll do? Jeremy, give me your thoughts on Kevin Love. This guy's certainly been a big factor in the East.
He has been. And when he was with Cleveland, he was a starter. He wasn't that much of a bench player till later on. And now he's been a great bench player and a role model and a mentor to some of these younger cats on the team. And all they do is win. And it's something to be said about players that can actually coach younger players.
Okay, well, we got another one in the chat room. Thanks to Matt Jacobs, Mitch Weinstein. Now I am here. I'm glad you are, and looking forward to you coming on more and more. And now we have so let's go ahead. We'll let Mitch talk about Kevin Love is better off the bench. Obviously, that's the role that he's involved in now. So you have a lot of people that agree with you. Again, with Cleveland, he was a starter. Miami, they found a role, and they brought him to Miami to be a stabilizing influence. We'll keep it rolling. Will Vogel, okay? Are we having fun? Love to used to be the man in Minnesota, okay? And now he's been a role player in Miami, Cleveland. Yeah, he has. But again, the big part about role players is you have to be able to adapt to anything. All right, Matthew Jacobs, Mitch in the house, me dog. All right, don't you love all this Coral Springs love? And then now here's a good one, Jeremy. You can relate to. When did Kevin Love Exius play? I don't even know what that is.
Love last play. He hit
last play. All right.
He hit X instead of space.
Oh, okay.
Love. I don't know when the last time he played. I was gonna say I don't. I know he came in.
I thought he played in that last game. If I remember right, I think he played in the Boston series coming off the bench. I know Miami was banged up. All right, well, we'll continue on. And now Mitch, boy, he's getting it out down there. All right, Denzel Snipes. And Love never complains, not egotistical, and always doing what needs to be done. And now Mitch goes back and says he needs to draft Tesbui. I don't know who this person is, so we'll leave it at that. Okay, and then Matthew Jacobs, he plays a lot, but is old as dirt. Well, well, there you go. Updated from the chat room. All right, Jacob, you have a lot to digest with our people in the chat room. Give me your 2 cents on Love and whatever else came out of here.
Couple of, I'd say 2 episodes into it when I was here, the second time I was on here, it was very early on. I don't know which thing. I tend to remember when I said that we were talking about Kevin Love and what he would do. And I said, this was phenomenal off the bench, rebounder, defense, 12, 15 minutes done. Pundit got this one right. I'm saying this I said it on Facebook. I said on all the social medias, Twitter and everything like that, this was going to be awesome. I didn't say finals or anything like that. I didn't see that coming, obviously. But I said this was a tremendous pickup. And it is great off the bench. Is he the guy that had 30 rebounds and did all that kind of stuff? No, not anymore. But you can have a good bench guy, no ego, no anything. Tremendous. And it was and Pundit got that one right.
George.
Congratulations, Pundit. He's averaging half of what his NBA career average is. That tells me a lot about the man. His career average is 16. He's averaging 8 now. So, like you guys have been talking about, he found his role. They found a role for him with all those undrafted free agents in the Heat, on the Heat roster. I meant to say, and to answer somebody's question, no, he did not play since Game 5, but that doesn't matter. He contributed, like Jacob said, in those first 5 games of the Boston series, and trust me, he'll be around, and they're going to need him against Denver. So I think it's a great move. I've always admired Kevin Love, Scott. I think he's a great guy, and he knows his role for sure.
All right, back to the chat room. All right, Mitch Weinstein, yes, you'll be available to be on the panel. Well, we're going to talk about this in Messenger, and we have no problem with that. So let's go out there. He says Kentucky rebounding machine available to be on the panel. Don't worry, I'll be contacting you probably next day or so. All right, Matthew Jacobs. All right, Celtics cried to the refs for 7 games. Well, maybe they did, but they're not crying anymore. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that.
Maybe
They are, just not to the refs.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So they'll be crying maybe later on in the year, but not anymore. All right. Well, all I can say is Kevin Love to me has had a fine career, and you know what? What else can you say about the guy? He knows now he's accepted his role, and he'll do fine with it. So, all right, let's talk about some predictions. Okay, I think Denver wins in 7 games, but I would like to see the Heat emerge. Jimmy Butler, to me, is a guy, Eric Spoelstra. And the one I'd love to see end up doing well was Udonis Haslem goes out on top. Now, I had an opportunity to talk to Udonis Haslem last year over at the Homestead. And here's a guy, to me, is Mr. Miami Heat. And as far as I'm concerned, his jersey will be retired. So I do believe that Denver, I will say 7 games, because I think Miami's going to give them a battle. I really do. I mean, this team here is playing on house money. There's no fear in them, and I can't see the Miami Heat getting embarrassed. And more importantly, here's the thing that you have to understand is Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, to me, Michael Malone is an underrated coach. And I worked with Brendan Malone, George, remember that, over at the Bad Boys.
Oh, yeah.
And Jimmy Butler has an attitude. I don't call them role players. I call them teammates. And this is from Sports Center. So as far as I'm concerned, that says a lot right there about Jimmy Butler's attitude. All right, JB.
Listen, I definitely like the Heat in this series. They're deep. They got a lot of guys that could shoot the 3. They have the better coach. They don't have the best player, but overall, I think the best team and the best coach. I think they're going to win in 6.
You think the Heat are going to win in 6, okay?
Yeah.
Popular local opinion, I can give 2 reasons with Weinstein and Jacobs and whoever else. All right, go ahead, Jeremy.
I've said the Nuggets will win in 6. They're just coming off way too hot, and they're coming off a high from beating the Lakers. I think they're going to do good. And it's not because I don't think Miami can win. Any team can win. There's all sorts of things that can happen. I just had a gut feeling that it would be the Nuggets in 6.
Okay. All right, Jacob.
Denver in 7, but I absolutely love this matchup. I have from the get. I was hoping for this matchup. I love it. You know, a couple of dogs. You know, it's like, and yes, we see you, Matthew. We saw it before. No, just kidding. But no. It is a couple of dog mindsets, different type of matchups, and I love every bit of it. I think Denver in 7, and then the game 7 will be really, really close. So I'm just gonna have fun with this series.
Yeah, there's a reason why I put Matthew's comments up against Bostonians again, but I'll let George Eichhorn go ahead. And, there's always a method, my man. As you know better than that by now. All right, go ahead, George.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Denver in 6. I really think Miami is going to give them a royal battle, though. I really do. But Denver's really got their sights on that championship trophy right now. And like you said, though, Scott, they got nothing to lose in Miami, the Heat organization. The Spoelstra is a great coach. In fact, Spoelstra is the grandson of a former Detroit sports baseball writer named Watson Spoelstra. So Eric Spoelstra is a great guy, great coach, and a good, decent human being. But I'm going to still stick with Denver in 6.
All right.
Time
Now,
for Eric Spoelstra to come to Detroit.
yeah, I don't know.
It won't happen.
Yeah,
It would be nice.
Yeah.
They're still trying to throw too much money at Monty Williams.
Yeah, I know. We'll stay on point because I got to get back to Matthew. All right. The reason why I put this back up on there, here's some facts. Okay. I'm just going to give you facts and you guys react anytime you want. Bruins lose game 7 to 8th seed Florida and Boston on April the 30th. May 28th, Celtics lose game 7 to 8th seed Miami in Boston. According to Bally Sports, Florida, combined wins at TD Garden. Panthers and the Heat have 6 wins. The Bruins and the Celtics with 6 wins. And yes, Matthew Jacobs, I knew that this is the reason why I wanted to put this back up. So think about it. The Panthers and the Heat certainly know how to win in Boston. And of course, Matthew alluded to the Patriots. And of course, the Celtics, obviously, and the Bruins. So, all right, JB.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, you know, it's just the first time it's ever happened that the number 8 seed has won 2 game 7s on the road, and it both happened with South Florida teams beating Boston. It was kind of amazing.
JB, the other one.
What happened?
No, the other one, Ballrick.
Okay. I was like,
JB.
when you say JB, it throws me off.
JB to the second power. That's all I know about Matt. Second power. All right, second power. All right. Go ahead. 6. That's unbelievable.
It's great to see the Bostonians going down and being taken down a peg because they've been proud for way too long.
Okay, Jacob.
I'm going to give a little story real fast. It has something it's something to the Bostonians. But years ago in '88, New Jersey came all the way back with like 15 games left to get the 8th seed. Then they got their butt kicked in the playoffs. And then the 2019, St. Louis came all the way back from dead last in January and won the whole dang thing. And it's like this shows from that era. That was 31 years. And look, it's 2023 now. You can't just look at the seeds anymore. Anybody can get hot at any time. It's a different era. Everybody's got the athletes. We're looking at all of this now. And it's such a different time. So it's like we can't just – so Boston could easily go to an 8 seed and do the same thing in a couple of years. You don't know.
George.
Well, it is a tough time for Beantown. They are a great sports town. We've talked about them before as a sports city. They're fantastic, and it's quite unfortunate. It's very unusual and unfortunate to see teams that high up or highly ranked or seeded to be defeated, especially by the lower ranking Panthers and Heat. And it's just an incredible thing. It's a great story. It's a great story. South Florida beats up on Beantown. I love it.
Yeah, well, too late to title the show because there's a lot of angles here. All right, back to Matthew Jacobs. Okay, Heat play great D. Nuggets have big offense. That'll definitely be a lot of things that people looking for. Yes, I mentioned this before, but I'll even let Matt talk about it. Heat playing with house money. And again, in my opinion, so are the Panthers. Okay, Inter Miami losing 1-0. They stink. Coach needs to be sacked. Well, I'll reserve judgment on that. Okay. The only thing I'll say about Inter Miami is when they couldn't go ahead and deliver on 2 broadcasters, there went my interest, and that's as far as I'll take it. Mitch Weinstein, okay. Spo will take Pat Riley's job. You never know. I could see that happening one day. Why are we betting against the Heat? Vegas is getting crushed by making them dogs. That one's pretty funny. I have to get that one up there for the world to see. Okay, and of course, Denzel Snipes. Let's see. All right. Let's not forget Charles Barkley. Angry at the sports media for covering LeBron's potential instead of over the Denver making the first NBA Finals. All right, George, read it. I got tongue-tied there.
Yeah, let's not forget Charles Barkley on his television show got angry at the sports media for covering LeBron's quote-unquote potential retirement statement over Denver making their first NBA Finals. Well, he's the most recognizable name in the NBA. So, I mean, anything that comes out of his mouth, the media is going to go gaga over. So, Denzel, you bring up a good point, though. I mean, it did overshadow Denver clinching a berth in the finals. I agree.
All right, more from the chat room. Jacob's on a roll. I wish I could type that fast. JB speaks the truth. There you go, JB.
JB, the truth master up there.
Matt Jacobs, you're going to get to see this guy next Wednesday. You're going to be bringing them all these guys in there. Mitch Weinstein. All right, let's go. We own Boston. Yeah, I guess you probably have.
JB speaks truth, and he's still waiting for his pizza.
There you go. Keep it rolling, man. Homer fans. Of course, they're Homer fans. All right, but we put it all out there. Now here we go with Matt Jacobs, Florida's title town now. Even the Marlins are winning. Well, they are around the 500 mark, so I'm hoping to get out there real soon and go deeper into that situation. Stay tuned. And we'll continue with Mitch Weinstein. Sorry. Panthers have been playing playoff hockey since the All-Strike. There's no question about that. When you're down, near the bottom, and that's an excellent point. Well, okay, tell me how you really feel, Matthew. Boston sucks. Okay, yeah, that's just funny stuff. I love reading it. And back to Denzel, just because you are down, it's not over. The 2019 Nationals were 19-31 by the end of May, had the best record in baseball to finish the season and won the World Series. Okay, one more from Matthew, and then I'm going to go on to the next topic. If Heat wins and Jimmy gets the MVP, where do you rank him on the all-time list? Top 5 for sure.
Oh yeah.
Anybody want to? Yeah. Anybody want to take a crack at this, because you had a lot Alonzo Mourning's on there and Dwayne Wade. I mean, and then
Miami had a lot of bad teams at the beginning and in between. I mean, you're almost putting Ronnie Cycli top 10. And it's like they do not have a lot of wonderful players. So easily he's top 5, if not over that.
Jimmy Buckets should be like 2. Dwayne Wade at 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have Zoe up there.
Zoe's 3.
Yeah.
Zoe's 3.
Nah, Zoe's one of the buckets. Can't do it.
all right, here we'll go one more to mention. Then we're going to talk about a different basketball topic. South Florida's always be a front running town. It's good to be here. Well, glad you are. And obviously, you'll be able to stay at one point with all of us. All right, another basketball topic. Okay, we'll go to the Golden State Warriors. GM Bob Myers leaves position after 12 seasons. The 48-year-old helped lead the Warriors to 4 NBA championships from 2015 to 2022. Are the Warriors in trouble, JB Ellis?
Are the Warriors in trouble? That's a great question. I mean, the West used to go through them. They won the championship last year that no one expected. I don't know that they're in trouble, but, the West, there's so many good teams. Everybody's in trouble in the West. There's nobody that you could say is a front runner. Denver kind of did what Milwaukee did a couple of years back when Milwaukee made the finals. So, I mean, I don't want to see the Warriors doing anything for a few years, but it's because there's so many good teams. You don't know who's going to come out of there.
Right. Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, I think they are in trouble. I mean, they've got some interpersonal relations that have been gone bad, as in Draymond Green and Poole. Then you got Curry. He doesn't seem to be able to stay on the court as much as he used to either. That team's going to end up breaking up eventually.
Okay. Jacob?
Well, Bob Myers, he left because, I mean, there is a rumor he's going to ESPN. He's going to run ESPN. And that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing by itself. He's 48 years old, might run the biggest sports thing in the world, sports entertainment deal in the world. And they're in a lot of trouble. And considering they went to go get Pat McAfee, and then you go get a Bob Myers, they really need it. ESPN does. But as far as Golden State, yeah, they're aging. And it's like you're gonna lose Draymond. You're going to. I mean, Clay's going to go elsewhere. There's going to be somebody that goes and gets Clay when he's not, and stuff like that. When he's had his knee issues, he was out 2 years, and they're going to overpay for him. Steph's will get. Steph's a bit aging. They're just going to restart over in the next year or two. So they're in trouble.
George?
Yeah, I agree. I think that that could be one of the. Well, you mentioned about the ESPN angle, but. Also, I think Bob could have been realizing that, the wheels are changing. And, the guys are getting older. And like you guys said, the internal problems they're having, I agree with all of that. They're just not the invincible Warriors like they have been. I mean, what great years they put together and what a great run they've had. But, yeah, the armor is cracking quite a bit. And especially when you lose a GM that young, obviously, though, the rumors have him going to ESPN. Well, that's a hell of a salary increase, let me tell you. But I think so. Yeah, they're going to be on the downside pretty soon.
Yeah, no disagreement to that either. So I think you're right. All right, back to the chat room. Matthew Jacobs, what about Zoe, Shaq, and Hardaway? I can tell you all day long, Zoe has. I had an opportunity to catch up with Alonzo Mourning in the Heat locker room one time, and I walked up, shook his hand. I'm proud of you for fighting your kidney and your medical issues. He said, "Thank you very much. It's nice of you to say." Gave me a big hug, and I've always thought the world of Alonzo Mourning. Shaq, well, he was there for a short time, part of a world championship team with Dwayne Wade, certainly, and Tim Hardaway. What else can I say? We'll continue on in the chat room. Okay. We've got Zoe, Timmy, LeBron, and Wade and Jimmy. Good list. Okay, let's go to, well, Joshua Bernstein. What's going on? Well, you know what, Joshua Bernstein? You're going on. Thanks for coming back on again. Okay, let's continue on here. Denzel Snipes, prisoner of the moment. The Warriors dynasty is not dead until number 30 retires. He can make a good point there. But I think they're done anyways. That's just my opinion. Continue the roll here. Joker, sprained ankle with Heat in 5. Okay, so, and then go back to Will Vogel. We'll continue on. I don't think they're in trouble. There's a lot of good teams, Suns, and a few others. All right, we'll leave it at that. Let's continue to the next topic. Only 2 more to go. Following the Sports Exchange, we have Confidential. Great show. JB, Jacob, Denzel. So flip over to Sideline Sports when we're done here. All right, 2 more topics to get to. Should MLB schedule all 11 teams to play on Memorial Day? There were only 11 games scheduled, JB.
With the travel of the baseball season, it's tough. Yes, everybody should play on Memorial Day. Rob Manfred is the worst commissioner in sports. It's a no-brainer. Everybody should play. They're trying something new this year with every team playing every team. So I don't know what the logistics would have been of it because you have teams all over. But, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, these are days every team should be playing. There should be baseball from 1 o'clock East Coast time all the way till in the morning that there should be games. So that's what people can watch. But yeah, I'd like to see every team play, but I'd like to know I'm thinking that it was the logistics with all the teams playing each other why it didn't happen this year.
Okay, Jeremy.
I agree. They all should play, but the logistics just doesn't work. So they scheduled as many as they could because of away games and everything else. And people like to spend time with their families on Memorial Day too. So you can't make all of them work.
Okay, Jacob.
I am with JB. I don't like Rob Manfred at all. I think he thinks he has the best interests and he doesn't. I would have, the biggest thing about it is the fact that when you look at NFL and they get their holidays, remember they don't play every single team, but they play the big ones. Why couldn't there have been, and this is the thing, we already know what the games were. Why couldn't it have been rivalry? If you're going to do the 11 games, why couldn't it be all rivalry games in one time and then go on to the next? It could have been special. You could have made it a special. The rival games, Cubs, Cardinals, Giants, Dodgers, could have made it the one time. And then you go on you keep on with your, it still counts, but then you go on with yours. But either way, it is something that you market, which Manfred still is not good at marketing. They've got pretty good with the timing thing, but it's still not wonderful with marketing their players and their product.
George.
Well, say what you want about Rob Manfred, but my hats are off to him and the Major League Baseball executives. Did you guys know they had a moment of silence at 3 o'clock at every stadium across the country? Okay, I'm sad too that not all the teams played. I agree with you, Scott, that seemed awful strange. But they did offer a salute to our military and a moment of silence at 3 o'clock. So I give kudos to the league for doing that at least.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about it is travel makes it difficult coming from one coast to another. Scheduling's a lot to do with it. So while I'd like to see them do it, sure. I mean, remember, auto racing owns Memorial Day weekend anyways. Of course, the NBA owns Christmas, although I think the NFL's getting a piece of that action. And, of course, Thanksgiving is owned by football as well. So, and, of course, MLB does own July 4th, depending on. So, JB, I'm with you there, okay, that I think travel had a lot to do with this, but they need to find a way to work it out, and we'll see how that plays out. All right, back to my favorite place, the chat room. Warriors have good base with top 2 and should be able to rebuild. Steph is solid. Okay, that's fair. Okay, again, this is our This is our chat room. It's on fire tonight. Clay will be a rocket when he is past his prime. I just see it happening. Laugh out loud. No, okay, yeah, I guess wishful thinking there, Dan. It's okay. I agree with it. I agree. Everyone should play for sure. Will Vogel, let's keep it rolling. All right. And Mitch Weinstein, it doesn't matter if everyone plays it's or not. It's very difficult. Okay. And let's see, Matthew Jacobs. Let's continue the roll here. Okay, I don't care how many games were played on Memorial Day. Tell me how you really feel. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's keep it rolling. Okay, this guy sounds like Bob Costas. Wait till you get these people on here when we start using our Wednesday nights, and then you get to tell us, oh, I can only imagine the activity there. Denzel Snipes, Baby Bears baseball coming up next. Yeah, mention that. I'll mention it again. So we have only one more topic after that. So all you people in the chat room, you know who you are. You send me a messenger on Facebook, and we'll put you into rotation, and we'll go from there. All right, one last topic to get to before we go to Confidential. And I know we touched on a little bit George and Jeremy last night, but we got a few new faces in here. The Tulane Green Wave make the NCAA tournament with a 19-40 record. How about that? All right, JB.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. You cut out.
No, that's okay. The Tulane Green Wave makes the NCAA tournament with a 19-40 record.
Listen, it's just like basketball. If you win tournaments and key games, you get to play in the big dance, and I would imagine that they must have won their conference tournament that they're in with that type of record. So kudos to them. They did what they needed to do when they needed to do it. I'm sure they didn't want to go 19 and whatever it was. I'm sure, but they won at the right time. And that's one of the things about baseball. It happens.
Okay. Jeremy?
Well, it just shows that they exactly what he said. Conference champions are who gets into that College World Series, and then a couple of at-large bids. But the at-large bids won't have losing records. To be 19-41 and then turn it around and win that conference championship, that says a lot about the heart of that team.
Jacob?
I seem to remember a specific team that won 83 games that took Detroit out. It just does not matter if you get hot. And it's like baseball is that weird game where you get hot. The pitching gets hot, and they can sweep all the way through and win the whole thing with a winless record. With a under 500 record. I mean, I've seen things before in high schools where I saw one time where there was an 0-27 team that got themselves a new coach before a tournament, won 3 tournament games before, got a regional and then got beaten in the sectional. I remember that one year as a girls team in like a small farm town. I remember that they got themselves a new coach and they caught 3 games in the regional and a sectional. So they were 3-27 going into the sectional final. So you don't know. Sometimes it's just getting hot. Sometimes it's figuring it out.
George?
Yeah, as I stated last night, we got a team locally called the University of Detroit Titans that Dick Vitale once coached. And he had good teams back then. But now, the only way the Titans will ever make the NCAA is through something like this happening, a tournament, and they win the tournament. And that would be with a losing record. Unfortunately, they're never above 500. It seems like our basketball team, the Titans. But yeah, this happens occasionally in the NCAA tournament. We see teams like this that somehow get lucky, they get hot, and they win their conference tournament. Tulane, this is a very extreme example. My goodness, 19-40. But they did it. I got to hand it to the boys that did it and their coaching staff. And I'm not sure, but I don't think they'll get very far. My prediction would be in the College World Series if they even make it.
Well, the only thing I'll say about it, I want to get some identification here. No matter what happens to Tulane Green Wave, they'll have a banner probably on their outfield wall. College NCAA tournament, you can never take that away from them.
That's right.
More power to them. All right. Well, with that said, we'll talk about some personal, some business here. The audio version of the Sports Exchange can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. You want to be a guest? Well, I got some potential guests, and they're participating in the chat room. That's one ticket to do it. They know who they are. but Mitch Weinstein and Matthew Jacobs are certainly two that are making their presence felt. We look forward to them being on here as well. Also, you want to be a guest, like I said, send topic ideas at South Florida Tribune at gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And of course, my Twitter handle is at Tribune South. Our website is www.southfloridatribune.com. And Candy Ebling, well, what can I say? She's a mastermind of it, does an unbelievable job. So as far as topics are concerned, I'm glad we got to every last one of them. I'm thrilled with the participation in the chat room. And my advice to Mitch Weinstein, direct message me. We'll talk about it. And of course, Matthew Jacobs, his wife and I are connected with the Coral Springs Chamber. I'm in her group, and I had a chance to meet Matt Jacobs tonight. And this guy's going to be a real asset on the show. And I'll tell you one thing, guys, if a lot of these people that I'm meeting up with are good people on their show, don't be surprised to get to know these people, because I'll tell you, they're very knowledgeable, and it's important to make sure that we get it out nationally, but locally as well. But that said, Confidential is coming up next. So JBL, why don't you let everybody know how they get a hold of themselves?
JB underscore the program on Twitter, Sideline Sports Tuesday 8:30 on the NFL Alumni Media website, NFLalumnimedia.com. Make sure you sign in to register. Also, YouTube, everywhere else. We got Confidential coming up in a few minutes on Sideline Sports.
Okay, go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh, you can find me on the South Florida Tribune.com website under the Motor City Tribune heading, where you'll find me under a list of authors like George Eichhorn there and Scott Morganroth. You can also find me right here on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, where I might be on any night of the week talking sports or football. You can also find me on my channel, which is Kneecap Biting with Smoke and Jeremy B, where I talk about the NFL on Wednesdays and the Lions on Fridays. You can also find me on Let's Talk Sports and Sideline Sports. You can find me everywhere and on Twitter at Smoke and Jeremy B.
Okay, Jacob.
I'm not going to go through that whole list. It might take the thing. I'm just being honest, but I will say this: Monday, I will be at the Austin Riley. It's the Austin Riley inaugural golf event. I'll be at the red carpet doing interviews with some of the Atlanta Braves luminaries and some of the other sports luminaries. I'll be at that thing basically with Sideline Sports. So I will be there with that little thing, thanks to Troy Geary. So I got the credential for that.
Little nugget here, Matt Jacobs. You're very welcome. Mitch is very entertaining. I would heckle the out of him. I'm not going to mention that on there. But if you guys want to go ahead and read between the lines, not stopping you there. George, go ahead and get it out there for you. Thanks for the compliments from everybody, as well as participation. Go ahead, George.
I'm the author of a book called Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air, which chronicles the Detroit and Michigan history of sports broadcasting, which includes greats like Al Kaline, Van Patrick, Bud Lynch, Bruce Martin, and George Blaha. And Scott Morganroth is in that book, interviewing Muhammad Ali and Jimmy Connors. A couple of great pictures. You can find a link to that book at the end of my column. As Jeremy mentioned, we both write for the South Florida Tribune and the Motor City Tribune. And also, you can find me at geichhorn@yahoo.com or on Twitter at SanGSports99. And you can reach me on LinkedIn as well. And find me here on the Sports Exchange and 108 Stitches, and occasionally on Pigskin and other shows that you need.
All right, anything you want to add? I saw the finger come up, Jacob, real quick before you guys have to go.
All good. I got to get over.
Good.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for being on here, JB and Jacob. Thank you very much. All right. Now we are down to 3. Okay. And I think it's really been great to have a lot of these guys in the chat room on here. And I have a lot of things I'm in the process of working on with the Coral Springs Chamber of Commerce. You saw a glimpse of that tonight. Go ahead, Jeremy.
The conference that Tulane brought to, because they talked about it, is the American Athletic Conference. There's only 11 teams. Believe it or not, there were 3 teams with a worse record than Tulane.
Oh,
really?
Okay.
Oh, wow. Good point.
So they were one of the final 8. They were the 8th seed. Ooh, they pulled a Florida Panther.
Yeah. 8 seed gets in. Amazing.
Okay, let me answer a question, Matthew Jacobs. Matt, we do shows throughout the week. The one you're going to participate on is this one on Wednesday night after 9 o'clock. But we do them Monday through Thursday, occasionally on Saturday. And Jeremy and I are going to start a new one up a week from Sunday, and JB Ellis and I have another one in the works, and I participate on there as well. So,
do you like my name better or yours, Scott?
mine, I don't know.
The show.
Because you said teacher and student, and I said mentor and pupil.
We're working on the logo. That's all I'll say. So,
All right.
yeah, no, I just think it's been pretty cool. I mean, I went to an event, and it was cool because Pundit went out there and started at 8. So I saw the 5 to 6 o'clock because I'm going to go there. I could do this, and I had everything done before. And what did I turn out? A bunch of future people that are going to be on the show. I told you one thing. There are certain shows that I will bring a lot of these people on, and you know what? I don't see any better place than Wednesday night. And I'm always looking for new talent. I don't care where the heck we find it at. What's the difference? I want lively opinions. I can tell you right now, Matthew Jacobs and Matt Weinstein. And of course, Will Vogel's always good. Denzel's always appreciated. And there'll be a lot more, and I think that's the nicest thing about it. And I can't say enough good things about Jennifer Lee Cobb because we had an unbelievable show last Thursday night as well. So Jen and I, again, so it's all about raising the standard. We appreciate everybody subscribing. I know I mentioned it 10 minutes ago, but I want to give one more shout out again. Okay. For those of you just joining us, once again, the audio version of the Sports Exchange can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. So, and please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please comment, like, and share the broadcast. And of course, if you want to be a guest, okay, you saw the chat room was unbelievable, or send the topic ideas, southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. Once again, we're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And of course, you can find me at Tribune South on Twitter. And the website, once again, is www.southfloridatribune.com. Thanks to Candy Ebling. She puts it all together. I'll mention, go ahead, and a few things. Well, you know what, Matt? You like Wednesday night? It's hump day. I like it too, and we do really well. And it just so happens the way my schedule is conveniently set up where I produce one show and go to another one. It's an unbelievable combination, and we're doing more and more things. So, and I will tell you this too, I'm open to guests, Matthew and Mitch. Okay, if you want to be a guest with Jeremy and I on a Sunday, so if you can come up with 30 to 40 minutes on a Sunday in the morning, you're welcome, but you'll definitely be invited on Wednesday night. So go ahead, Jeremy.
I got one thing to say. Scott does a great job of getting us guests from all over the place, and here's for him.
Oh my goodness. But I'm still keeping the hat on, so you're not going to get that one done. No matter how hard you try. Yeah, I know. All this technology I don't know nothing about. Well, Brian Cushion, thanks a lot for being on. We're going to get you on here for a football show. We certainly want to make sure you're comfortable. And George, what can I say? Have a great broadcast tonight. I'm biased toward it, but when all you have to do is look at the participation in the chat room. That worked out pretty good. So, all right. So once again, I mentioned the particulars earlier, and we'll close it out with myself, Jeremy, and George. We will go out there and look forward to bringing you on our next broadcast tomorrow night. Just to give you an overview of what we have on, we're going to have no limits. I have a guy named John Brandis is going to be talking about a sales bounty hunter, so a little bit about recruiting. So we try to make sure we have a lot of sports shows as well as non-sports shows. So I'm working on a lot of other projects. If you're a friend of mine on Facebook, I'll promote it. You don't have to worry about that. So once again, on behalf of my crew, I'm going to mention JB and Jacob, Jeremy Ballreich, and George Eichhorn. My name is Scott Morgan-Roth of Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange. Have a great night, and thanks for joining us. God bless.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.